Well, hello and welcome to this edition of the EV Revolution Show. My name is Kenneth Bocor, your host for this wintry episode because it's like about minus 10 degrees out here with a little bit of wind, so it's pretty cold. So I'm going to try to do a fair...
Now, back to our program.
freeze. Hey, listen, thanks very much for tuning into this edition where I'm reviewing a 2023 brand new BMW i7 xDrive60. This is BMW's top-of-the-line sedan in their 7 Series, which is now fully electrified under the i nameplate being the i7. Comes just in one powertrain, which is the xDrive60. Some of the other BMW electrics come in multiple types of powertrains, including M Series. This does not as of yet. It probably will at some point. But believe me, this has plenty of power and it's a lot quieter than that guy. I'll tell you that much. So sit back, relax. Let me tell you a lot about this beautiful, beautiful BMW machine. And before I do that, I do want to thank BMW Canada for allowing me the use of this fantastic press vehicle for the last few days. And as I've been driving around, putting my chauffeur's hat on here in ultimate comfort. Let me get right to the review. All right, so as I mentioned, this is brand new for BMW in an electrified 7 Series. Of course, the 7 Series has been around for quite a long time in their ultimate sedan vehicle that they have, which is fantastic. This is really kind of taking that ultimate sedan vehicle and moving it up to an electrified luxury platform. It's got stately styling, opulent cabin, and sophisticated driving characteristics. It fit like a leather Gucci glove, basically, if you're into Gucci gloves. And, you know, I kind of felt very prestigious and glamorous driving this thing around for the last few days. A lot of people looking at it, especially with this two-tone paint job. Now, I will tell you, the car might look dirty to you, but I just took it to the car wash, and some of the water in the soap has frozen on the car because it's, again, almost minus 10. So that's just frozen water, folks. The car is pretty clean. I have not been off-roading or anything crazy like that. But it is a beautiful looking car. And, you know, the important thing about this is that it's all electric, right? So it's the zero emissions vehicle, and we're not emitting any greenhouse gases on this in a very, very nice manner that we're not doing it. So when you look at design and when you look at styling, BMW has done some difference. They have a 2-package light bar now. They have a daytime running lights and then a secondary for the headlights. You can have an optional grille being outlined. This has that standard BMW kidney grille that we're seeing on all the electrified platforms now. The big one, some love it, some hate it. It is what it is. I think it's fine. Here it kind of blends in a bit more because of the black two-tone paint that they've done on this vehicle. So it's not probably as in your face as some people would, for some of the other models might think it to be. This is a beautiful paint job. I'm not a huge fan. I personally wouldn't get it because it's a $12,000 option. That's just this paint job alone. But it stands out. You think you're driving a Bentley or something like that from the way that this thing looks and the shape of it. So it's a beautifully designed car, as aerodynamic as it's going to be for a full-size sedan. Don't kid yourself, right? It's not a 0.21 coefficient vehicle, but it rides really smooth. It makes hardly any noise, hardly any wind noise as you're driving this thing around. So what BM has done in the aerodynamics to move wind away from some of the buffeting areas like the mirrors and the tail, they've done an incredibly excellent and elegant job in doing that. I love the styling. It's a big car. You know, this is a long wheelbase car, something in excess of 5,000 millimeters in total length of the vehicle. I could not fit it into my garage again because it's just too long. The rear would stick out and I couldn't close the garage door. So you need to be aware of the measurements, but I'm sure if you're going to be looking at something that's priced like this, and I'll get into pricing later on, you probably have a house or a garage at least big enough to house this thing in. Or you can park it outside, of course, but not many people do. What else can I tell you about the design? It's just a nice design. These have the bigger wheels, the 21-inch wheels, which I personally wouldn't get. I would go for the 19s because they're more efficient and won't really impact the ride, because I'll talk about the ride. It's just super silky and super smooth from a ride perspective. But the car is very, very nice. I love the front lines. I like the looks of it. It stands out. Now looking to the rear of the vehicle, it again has a very pleasant, subtle look. Bit of a high rear bonnet line here. Not really a lot of sloping. The trunk opens massively. You can fit a couple golf bags in there. I've had some people ask and look at that. But it's a very nice profile. You know you're driving a BMW with the big logo in the back. Very nice LED light package. It has this welcoming light package as well. When you come up, they can go on, light up the side of the vehicle, light the door handles, all that kind of stuff. It is a BMW, right? You look at this and you can tell, other than the two-tone paint job, which has that a la Bentley look, if it didn't have that, then you're seeing, obviously, a BMW. Very elegant, very refined. Now, in the front, here's, again, that dynamic light package, LED. It's a beautiful night. It's lots of visibility at night. BMW really knows how to nail down the lighting on their vehicles. One thing I have not been able to figure out to do, because I can't open the front, so there is no frunk on this, is how to find the slot for the windshield washer fluid. I thought it was this logo button here, like it was on other vehicles, that you would pop open and fill it here, but it's not opening, so I'm going to have to find a piece of video and insert it after this little package here of where you go to put windshield washer fluid, because there is nothing around the sides that I can think of. That's a spray for the camera to clean that up. So a little bit neat things in the BMW, they kind of have to explore and figure out, but obviously there's going to be a way to do that. Now, a lot of journalists are making a case for this to be, one of the world's best all-electric luxury vehicles, especially on the sedan market. It's a tall order. We have Lucid Air, we have the Model S, the i7, the EQS 580 sedan. The A6 electrified will be coming, A8 I believe at some point. It's not out here. So from a higher end luxury sedan, you could include the Genesis electrified G80 in that mix, even though it's a little smaller than this, but it is a luxury sedan. There's some good choice in that marketplace, but one thing BMW does, it's just, I don't know, there's something about BMW to me versus Mercedes that's different. One thing I liked about this, it just has extreme pleasant road handling capabilities, right? You don't think about it when you're in a BMW, not that you do in the other vehicles, but this just kind of gets in, fits like a glove, and you go. You can drive it a bit spiritedly if you want, or you can just take it easy, and that's what I do. Folks, I try to do real world ranges and check out the power and stuff. Now, this particular machine is a dual motor, all electric package. It is an existing i7 series frame, by the way, electrified, so there is a transmission tunnel in the back seat. So it's not like the iX model, which is a totally new platform, fully electrified skateboard platform for that vehicle. This is taking a lot of those components and putting them in here in an elegant and really, really nice way. So it's got a great weight. It's got a 50-50 weight balance on this vehicle. So BMW has done a great job in distributing the weight, especially along the floor with the batteries. Now, this does have a 107 kilowatt hour battery pack, which does have a DC fast charging capabilities of up to 195 kilowatts, and AC you can go up to 22 kilowatts with the right package connection equipment to do that. On the fast charge, giving you a 10 to 80% in about 30 minutes or so, 30 to 34 minutes, which again, around that half-hour mark isn't bad after driving 3 to 4 hours, let's say, of driving, having to stop for 20 to 30 minutes. I think that's very reasonable. So, and I will show you my range numbers coming up later on. The EPA rated range on this is 318 miles or 512 kilometers for the base 19-inch wheel package, which will give you more efficiency. This one has the 21-inch wheels, and its EPA rated range is 308 miles or 496 kilometers. Now, in these temperatures, I've been starting in around the 0, -2, +2 range of about 415 to 425 kilometers is my start range, and then I'll show you my log coming up later on. One of the challenges I have with really kind of fixing the ranges when I get the vehicles, folks, is that these are press vehicles, so they go week to week or few days to different journalists. And I can tell you by experience, because I don't typically do it, but most journalists hammer the crap out of these vehicles, right? They will put them in sport mode and drive them as fast as they can. They'll do tons of 0 to 60 runs. They'll do quarter-mile runs, whatever. They will drive these cars relatively hard for a lot of the driving until they get on camera, of course, and then they'll look civil and demure. Well, that's not my style. I drive this car like I own it, and I drive it like I'm going normally would, driving around the city, going to work, doing errands, whatever the case is. So when I usually get these vehicles, the range estimates tend to be a little wonky because you've got people who have been driving it before who have been really exercising the juice flow in the battery. So it takes a few days for the car to recognize my driving patterns and say, hey, this guy's a little easier, so now I can start, the battery isn't being drained as fast, so I'm going to start increasing the range. And I've seen the range actually go up I've charged this twice now at home to full on my level 2 overnight, and I've seen the range go up, the starting range go up. So again, that shows that if you drive this thing normally, you're going to be pushing these EPA ranges quite easily, in my opinion, if not even exceeding them. So I mentioned the battery size and the charging capabilities. Power, again, with those two motors, is about pretty balanced at about 536 horsepower and 549, pound-feet of torque. This has a great adaptive 2-axle air suspension system, and it has the ability to adapt to the road conditions, to soften, to tighten, whatever it needs to do during the road. This has some additional options to have a camera to look at the road, and if it detects bumps like speed bumps or potholes and stuff, if it can see it, it will automatically tune the suspension to handle that before you even hit that bump or that road issue. So it has some of that technology, and we're seeing that technology in a lot of the other higher end products as well, so it's not new. As far as the ride quality and the driving, I'm gonna do a driving impression, but it's just been a phenomenal machine to drive. And it's got tons of interior room and a very good amount of cargo space. Let me show you that. All right, so from rear trunk room, as I said about cargo space, because there is no frunk on this, this has, of course, a power rear trunk. Open it up, and it's a pretty big size. I'll throw the numbers here because I don't have them handy on my notes, but I'll throw them up on the screen here. It's a nice size. Again, the seats do not fold down in the back, at least no way that I could find it. They do look very fixed, like on the Genesis. It does have a ski pass-through there, but and a good size underwell. For storage, I've got the charging cables here. This whole modular charging pack, if you can see that okay, this is in the wheel well, completely inside that well, and doesn't bump the floor or raise the floor. So it gives you a good idea of some of the space there. If I put that back in, and you can still put a couple more things in there. It's a pretty big, deep well. So it's got a good amount of storage with some tie downs. Again, so if you're traveling, need to throw some luggage in, picked a friend of mine up from the airport last night, no problem, nice and easy. All right, looking at the front here, this has a similar control package that the iX had. They had this use of crystal form and functions. It's got these crystal with built-in haptic feedback buttons. I'm not a huge fan of these because sometimes you have to touch them a couple of times for them to work. I don't know why that is. I kind of prefer manual buttons like here, but it is what it is. They look really nice. It's got a lot of stuff that I don't even know what it does, folks, to be honest with you. But as you can see, it's a beautiful, beautiful interior, well appointed. If I get into the vehicle here, let's do that for a sec. And we turn it on and we close the door. This has power doors, and I haven't even touched that. Then we're getting some information. Again, typical wheel stock. These are really nice, easy buttons to use. Everything again is on the, I'll start that up here. There we go. Very easy buttons to use. Everything's here. Here's your standard screen, your main screen that you can do different cards with and set up different attributes. I went through this on the iX. It's the exact same interface as the iX, so I'm not going to go through a lot. What I try to focus on is driving range. You can see some of the efficiencies aren't the greatest in this vehicle, but again, we're into -6-degree days today in the bigger vehicles, and I'm running heat a lot on this to keep it going, keep myself warm. One thing I can tell you is that the below console here has that same rotary dial control that's in the iX, and runs version 8 of BMW's operating system. So it has very similarity across the lines. The 4 now, the iX and this are all having it. So people jumping in and out will get it. Again, they've taken all the climate into here, which is not the greatest thing in my opinion, but a lot of manufacturers are doing that. So you've got your climate controls here. They do leave the temperatures out here all the time for you to see, so you can at least change your temperature if you need to. But if you want to get in and change fan speeds, you got to go there and then change it down, that kind of thing. It's a couple of taps. Tons and tons of apps on this thing, you know, between Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, lots of BMW apps, a lot of system settings, even BMW Assistant, all kinds of stuff going on there. Change the lighting, all that kind of stuff. Even can play YouTube here. Now, again, I don't have the eSIM, right? I'm not activated with a data package, so it won't play it, but you can play it here when you're parked. So like Tesla, when you're charging, you want to watch YouTube, you can do it from this screen, or you can just sync up your Android or Apple device and do the same thing. So lots of vehicle apps as well. So lots of different apps and lots of menus to go through. In fact, you know, what I said, I think before on the iX reigns true, that there's a lot going on here, and probably in my opinion too much. And sometimes to get to simple elements, it's just really hard. You know, as an example, this has XM, so I've been listening to XM. I've set up some favorites. If I go to a favorite station, you know, let's say I want to play that station, it takes me back to this screen. I would rather leave it on the favorite screen because I want to just scroll through favorites, as an example. And there's no way to set that up. So there's little things that are a bit inconvenient. The driving modes, I've consistently had to change every time I get in here back to efficiency. But it has all kinds of different driving modes that you can see, and I believe through updates they will add others. So I've been leaving it in efficient, but every time I get in, I've had to turn that back on, reset it. Now, I did try to do a BMW ID and link a profile, and that didn't seem to work to save all these settings. It does save my seat settings, because you can save your seats here and this kind of stuff, the steering wheel positioning. But for some of these other, you know, what mode you're in, what type of theme that you're running, some things like that, you have to go back. The music have to go back in. So it's a little bit annoying there, but that's probably because it's not my vehicle and I haven't set it up and activated it under a personal account as I would an owner. So barring all that aside, it's got this beautiful ambient light package with this crystal backing. It's just fantastic. Dimming mirrors, lots of lights, of course, that stunning moonroof, which does provide some lights at night as well, depending on what mood you're running. So it just really is an all-encompassing package and a very nice experience for the driver to be in. And it does have a HUD. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. If that's coming out here, yeah, you're just barely seeing that on the road. I've turned it down, but it has a heads-up display, and the heads-up display can show many different things. It can show your driving directions, your routing, speeds, safety, ADAS information when you're in adaptive cruise and lane keeping, things like that. This also has a level 3 autonomy, similar, pretty well identical to GM's Super Cruise, where it's a touch-less driving experience. You do not have to be grabbing the wheel every 5 or 10 seconds. And that only works on divided highways, and I will show you that coming up in the driving impressions. But this is a very, very nice interior, very comfortable, and absolutely fantastic. So here's the rear seat interior quickly. Here's your door controls. Just a beautiful interior. Again, does have that transmission hump, but everything is nice. You know, this is a harder plastic. You got soft leather and stuff here. You can do these connections. It has some USB, and then you can get optional connections here in the back. Lots of ports, charging mat. Of course, just a very luxurious, comfortable space. Some cool new tech in the rear is the controls on the doors, where there's different things you can do, and there's theater mode is kind of the coolest thing. So what it does is there's a built-in 30-inch 8K resolution theater screen that, as you can see in this video, will fold down. Screens will go up on the side windows and the back. In this case, just the back one up, but the side windows go up as well. Blackout screens, and the roof closes to kind of darken the rear seat for this theater mode that you have. It's quite impressive here. You can see everything happening. It's a fantastic screen. I didn't have a data, again, there wasn't a data package plugged in, so I couldn't try anything out, but it was very impressive if you want to sit in the back seat and watch a movie while you're charging. That has a lounge, so the rear has a lounge seating, which will push the seats forward and allow you to stretch out to watch that home theater system that I just showed you. Very, very nice interior. It's certainly something that you don't mind spending some time in. All right, let's see how the rear seat room is here for not so skinny guy like me. Oh, wow, that was like one of the easiest to get in and out of. Just kind of slid there. Lots of nice room. One thing I noticed is that this particular bottom width is fairly wide, because some doors are much closer to the wheel well, even though this is, so it constrains the bottom. So you really have to kind of go under and around that. But this is just a really, really easy way to climb into this vehicle. I've got it set for where I sit. Massive amounts of room. You could sit another person here almost. But just a very beautiful, comfortable, spacious airline luxury limo style interior here. Nice, beautiful finishes. Everything is top notch. It's just a fantastic place to be. Okay, just wanted to show the automatic door function. The audio for some reason in this piece didn't come out. So as you can see, I'm sitting in the car and I'm opening the doors actually with the press of a button, or in this case through a menu display that comes up on the screen. I could close the driver's door there with the press of a button or via the menu screen. I can close and open the passenger door in the front with the same system as well. So here you're seeing the doors open and close via me pushing either the buttons on the door or the display. Here I've opened the back doors as well, and then I can close them all as well through the screen from the driver position. So this is the automatic door function. It's a $2,000 Canadian option if you choose to want that, but it's there. It's pretty cool, and as you can see, it's quite impressive if you want to do that. You can program the key fob as well with one of the functions to activate that. It's pretty neat. Well, hope you like to look at all that cool stuff in the interior, because man, you could spend an hour just going through everything here. Just wanted to do a couple of quick highlights. Now, let's take it on the road and see how it drives. All right, so just some quick driving impressions here. What I can say is that this thing has been a pleasure to drive for the last few days. It's just unbelievably effortlessly to negotiate, to drive around. It took me maybe an hour or so just to get used to the size, because this is a long vehicle. So just to get used to the turns and parking and stuff like that, because I have a smaller vehicle in my Model 3. So it took me a little bit of time to get used to that. It's got great parking sensors and all that stuff to help you with that. The car itself is just effortlessly to drive. Some journalists have complained that the steering is a little bit too soft. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I turn in a dime if I have to. So I don't know what people complain about when they're looking for that stuff. I think they're too nitpicky, but that's my opinion. For everyday driving, this thing has been fantastic. The suspension is just ultimate. It's an adaptive air suspension all around. You can raise the height. This has some additional goodies in the technology in the suspension to give you a little bit even more adaptability and change into it. But what comes with standard with it is very, very, very nice already. So it's a quiet ride, as you can hear. They've done a great job of soundproofing. And again, I would expect all this from a 7 Series BMW, right? It's their flagship sedan product. It is ultimate. It is going to have all the best stuff. So I would expect the electrified version to be the same. And it does. Got a great center of balance, of course, with the low center of gravity. This has a 50-50 weight distribution, so it just gives you fantastic handling and dynamic capabilities. Now remember, this is a long vehicle, right? It's over 5,000 millimeters long, so it's not a small vehicle to be thrown around an obstacle course in. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be a luxurious, comfortable, quiet, and very, very sound and well-built, solid vehicle. And it is on all those accounts. It's been just a pleasure to drive. The adaptive cruise and all the ADAS systems work extremely well. I'm very, very impressed with that. The B pedal is very, very nice, folks. I love it when OEMs are upping the sensitivity and the experience on the one pedal driving mode so that they're not jerky, they're not sudden, that you can control these and they're very refined. And this is a very nice soft system where I can easily stop and go just by using the accelerator. I hardly have touched the brakes in my few days of driving this vehicle. Only a few times I've had to use the brakes. So this works really well. It's super easy to adapt to. This is a whole another level. You know, BMW has done just such a fantastic job of electrifying their fleet as they move forward. You know, they're doing a lot in electrification. Take them very seriously, folks. And this is just a fantastic vehicle that anybody looking at this size, this class of a vehicle is going to enjoy immensely. And having it as an all-electric powertrain with that instant torque, that nice handling characteristics, that increased structural rigidity and safety elements is just going to enhance that experience, and a pleasure and a joy to drive this vehicle. So well done, BMW. You've done a fantastic job of this vehicle. I can't compliment it enough. All right, so I'm in the i7 with the lane assist and adaptive cruise activated here, and I'm blocking the sensor with my phone, so that's why it keeps beeping at me. But hopefully you can see the HUD and see I'm not touching the wheel here. You can see the indicators. Of course, I keep blocking the LED that reads the face, and that's one of the newer technologies here, is that it reads facial recognition to make sure that you're paying attention, you're looking ahead. So if I move it off to the side here, that might be easier. You won't be able to see the HUD, but you'll see that it's I'm not touching the wheel, so it's maintaining the lane, and it's maintaining the distance I've set for the car in front of me with the adaptive cruise. It's a pretty good system. It starts beeping at you and lighting up when it needs you to grab the wheel. As you can see, it's got yellow flashing. It'll go to red and saying, please put hands on the wheel on the HUD. So there's really no way to miss that. It's probably every 5 to 10 seconds, basically. Depends on the speed, I guess, and what's going on. Yeah, about every 5 seconds. So it is a system that you really need to have your hands on. Otherwise, it's pretty smooth, though. It's very nice in the smooth in the deceleration and acceleration of maintaining the speed, and the lane keeping is really good. And this is again at night. It's clear roads, but it's at night, so it's always a good test. If it can do well at night, it'll do well in day as long as the roads are clear. So good job, BMW. All right, so I've tried another mode. There's an Assist Plus driving mode. As you can see here above the dash, it says Assist Plus and up in the HUD. And it's basically similar to Super Cruise from GM. I haven't touched the wheel in about a minute or so. So I believe that it warns you that it's a system that's for physically divided highways with the lanes and clear conditions, things like that. So it can only be used there. And it's doing a great job. Again, it's about a minute and a half now. I haven't touched the pedal or the wheel at all. It's accelerating, decelerating on its own, maintaining the lanes. So this is pretty well BMW's answer to Super Cruise and Tesla's autopilot, but a little bit on steroids, because like Super Cruise, you don't necessarily have to touch the wheel for a long time, as long as the roads are in the mapping system. So I think BMW may use something similar here, where they have route mapping on the Assist Plus where it's available. So as you can see, it even lights up the nav telling me that I'm in the green, and even though I haven't programmed a destination. So that's pretty cool. It's been over 2 minutes now. I haven't touched the wheel. So really good system for kind of the, the level 3 to level 4 autonomy. I wouldn't go farther than that, but certainly in that range. Again, well done, BMW. Well, hope you enjoyed the driving thoughts there. As to be expected, this is going to be a luxurious, it's going to be an elegant, it's going to be quiet, it's going to be sophisticated, it's going to be a very nice vehicle to drive around. I give you good performance, good handling in a very, very nice manner. And it does that. I can't even describe it how well it does that. It's just a fantastic vehicle to drive. Now, it's going to cost you, though. These things aren't cheap. But in fact, from my understanding, the base price on this is the same base price, as the ICE vehicle version of the i7 here in Canada, starting at $147,000 MSRP. Now, one thing with BMW and the German vehicles, you can put a lot of options in these things, and you can add a lot of light items and SKUs to your bill of sale to really drive the price up. And BMW, of course, spared no expense in giving me a very, very well optioned out i7 here, which came in just over $194,000 Canadian with all the options, like the rear lounge, the entertainment center, some additional ADAS functionality, the two-tone paint, and on and on and on, rear massaging seats, all this kind of stuff. So, it really is a luxury spa inside this vehicle when you option it out. Do you need to put all those things in? Well, only you as a potential owner can decide that. But, I think at $147 base price for what you get with that, that is very, very competitive to that market space, like the Lucid Airs, like the Model S Plaid, right? It is very competitive. This costs, I believe, less than a Model S, even the base model, that has a lot of functionality, a lot of tech, and a lot of comfort already in it. And other than supercharging and being a Tesla, boy, that would be a hard decision if I was shopping for that kind of model, right? I would seriously look at the i7 in that space. So hope you consider that and think about that price point. It's not cheap. Again, this isn't a mass market adoption vehicle, right? Not everybody's going to run out and get this. But if you're in that realm and you're looking at something and you want to, drive, you like BMWs, you want to stay with BMWs, again, they've been doing a great job in moving into the electrification realm. In fact, this has a high degree of sustainability materials in it, and it's got 0 rare earth elements as well in this that are sourced and put together by BMW. So that's something that BMW you don't hear, but when you peel back the layers, stuff that they're doing to help the cause. All right, and just a quick look at the range log here that I did over the few days that I had it. As you can see, I charged it twice to 100% and then tried to run it down over the course of a couple of days. The temperatures were anywhere from 4 degrees down to -6, -10 as winter is approaching here in southern Ontario. And the range is pretty good, for, again, the size of the car, the weight, and the aerodynamics and everything factored in with the temperature. It's not uncommon to see, 20 to 30%, 20-25% range loss in the colder temperatures, and this is running at par with that. You can see those efficiencies aren't the greatest, but again, even my Tesla Model 3, when it's cold and I'm on the highway, I'll be getting 23, 24, 25 kilowatt hours per 100 there, so it's not that far off the pace. So I think the range has been pretty good for this vehicle, especially with the weather conditions. Well, final thoughts on this. Would I recommend this vehicle? Oh, man, goodness, would I recommend this vehicle if a Brick's truck fell over and dumped a lot of money that I could scoop up and run and before anybody caught me? I might be buying one of these. But otherwise, that's not going to happen for me. But it is, again, I can't underestimate how fantastic of a vehicle this is. It was just such a joy to drive around and operate and just be in a sense of zen. The sound system on here, which is the Bowers & Wilkins, this is the Diamond platform. It's a $6,000 option. It just sounds phenomenal, like you're right there in a concert hall. Very, very pleasing vehicle to drive and just chill and take it easy on. Absolutely recommend it. Multiple thumbs up again. So encourage anybody. You know, BMW again is doing a great job on the electrification. It's got good range. It's got good fast charging at up to 195 kilowatts, as I mentioned earlier. So combination for road tripping and stuff, this is going to be a very capable vehicle, and it's going to do quite well for a lot of people. So if you're thinking of a high-end luxury sedan and you're looking at the Lucid Airs, the Model X's, to a degree the Genesis G80 electrified now, you know, in that realm, I don't believe we have the new Audi A8s electrified yet that are coming. So what you can get, these are orderable now in Canada and the US, my understanding. I don't know what deliveries are, but they have started full production, so you should be able to get one in not 2 or 3 years. You won't have to wait for long for one of these, so that's good news. So yeah, consider one of these. And again, I just want to take an opportunity to thank BMW Canada for allowing me the use of this vehicle. It's been a pleasure and a joy. So, you know, if you have an opportunity to look at one of these, go for it. All right, and that's it for this edition of the EV Revolution Show. I'm losing my voice because my lips are freezing. It's cold out here at -10, folks. I love the cold, though. It's all good. Thanks very much for watching on YouTube. If you have not subscribed, please do. It would mean a lot if you do. If you want to put comments, I always like reading the comments. If you're going to put a negative comment, I want to tell you one thing, folks. Back it up with some facts, okay? I get a lot of stuff saying, oh, this car's crap, this company's not going to make it. Well, tell me why. Give me some solid reasoning behind what you're going to say. If you're going to go out and want to start having a conversation, I have no problems in having conversations online with folks to try to help provide more information, because I'm not perfect. Not every company's perfect. Not every vehicle is going to be perfect. There's going to be hit and misses. But if you're going to put something out there, back yourself up with facts and reasoning, not just slang and acquisitions. All right, that's all I'm going to say about that. If you're not helping me out on Patreon and you're thinking about it, you can check out the link below. And if you want to sponsor me for a couple bucks a month, cup of coffee a month, whatever it is, it all helps for me to continue to do what I do in my antics here on the EV Revolution Show. Keep watching me for more vehicles. It's cold out here. I'll be getting a couple more vehicle reviews as well. Hopefully throughout the winter, things will happening. I'll get back to some news stories and all that kind of stuff. And everybody continue to stay safe, of course. Thank you very much again. I'm very humbled for everybody who supports me on Patreon and for everybody who watches me and subscribes. I do want to thank you very much. And until the next time, I will see you when I see you. Take care and bye-bye.